I'm just ready to click on the stream again. Okay,
Right.
so I've got the dashboard open.
Right, hello everyone, we are back with live coverage of the One of Racing Precision Tier race at Interlagos, the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're under safety car conditions on lap 3. I think the safety car's about to come in. Apologies for the break in the stream. Unfortunately, there was a technical issue, which meant kind of got booted out of the game. But we are back now. The only thing I can think to say that we've missed over Jay Fletcher is he just got a penalty. He's got a 5-second penalty on my screen. I don't know where that's come from.
I should check.
Verheyen is out of the race. I think he crashed and that's the reason for the safety car. But we're about to get back underway here. And we'll see what happens on this restart then. The top 3 have remained as you were. Schnitzel's moved up to 4th. I believe PB Racing has also left the race. But we are back underway. Jay Fletcher gets this one back underway. It's a pretty samey restart from the top 3. But Schnitzel's potentially having a go at Scorpion down into the centre S, but he locks up, runs wide and can't make the pass stick, and if anything he might now come under threat from Nick behind him as they run now onto the straight out of turn 2. Can Nick make the move? No, he cannot. But that was a Schnitzel going for P3 there and nearly losing P4 in the process.
Yeah, keep an eye on this one. This is going to be a close one. It's all over the back of Scorpion just now, so
I wonder if it's a case of us medium tyres taking a little bit longer to get to temperature on the restart, and Scorpion as a result being forced into doing some defending, but he's hung on pretty well so far. And of course this is not only helping him, it's helping his teammate too, so a good bit of Ferrari teamwork going on there, and it could benefit them later on if Scorpion can keep Schnitzel and Nick behind him.
yeah, definitely. Schnitzel getting staying about 5 tenths behind, so he is close enough if he wanted to with the ERS, but Nick's not far behind him, so keep an eye on this one's very close as Catboy Keys having a go at Kajaman into turn 1. He's going round the outside here. Kajaman defending, but Catboy Key still fighting around the outside of turn 3. And he's going to have, who's going to have the better run, but Catboy Key's going to have the better line around the outside into this next corner. Oh, he's been pushed onto the grass by Kajaman. That's questionable defending there, I have to say.
A very aggressive racing between the pair of them, and unfortunately for Catboy Key, he ended up on the grass there going into Descida de Largo, and there's going to be no grip once you're on the grass. So thankfully for him, he can slot back in behind and he'll be able to have another go. But yeah, the big common theme that I'm seeing so far on this restart is that those on medium tyres are very vulnerable and are having to get their elbows out to keep their places.
Yep, definitely, that's 100% agreed. The medium tyres aren't the fastest at the best time, so especially if they're cold as well and not getting up to temperature as quickly as those starts, they're going to be vulnerable for the next few laps at least until those softs start to wear out. Catboy Keys
using all his overtake.
Again.
Running outside of a centre S, is he going to be able to make a stick this time? He locks up the front left, but he looks like he's got the nose in just ahead. And this time he gets the move done very nicely there. He lined it up the first occasion, but of course here now comes Kajaman. He's not got much ERS to play with, and that ultimately means he can't actually launch a fight back into turn 4. So Catboy Key keeps that position, makes it stick, and at the second time of asking moves up to P6. Kajaman did his best to hold him off, but in the end there was only so much he could do.
Kajaman could be falling back into the clutches of Jonas now, who is not very far behind that Renault. So with Ryo Mahoshi not far behind him either, so it's very close from P7 down to around P8, P9, so a decent forward battle there. As Jay Fletcher's already picked up a penalty, I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I believe that was picked up well. Unfortunately, we weren't actually able to see what for. It was a 5-second penalty though, so that's not, that doesn't suggest a corner cutting penalty. Maybe the only thing I can think maybe speeding over a delta perhaps, but that's one that could potentially be looked at by the stewards afterwards. But Ryo Mahoshi here looking just in his train of cars at the moment as Catboy Key tries to pull away, and Jonas has actually got past Kajaman, so I don't know how, because I was watching them all the way through, but I didn't actually quite see the overtake. Jonas moves up to 7th in front of Kajman, who loses another place, and Ryoma Hoshi will be next. Comes on to the back of this, following a 2nd place in Abu Dhabi and getting driver of the day, so very high in confidence is Ryoma, and Kajman just needs to try and break this trend of losing positions, because if he can just hold on for a few more laps, like you've already mentioned, those medium tyres will start to fend off the soft tyres a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. Scorpion doesn't look to be having as much trouble with Schnitzel at these laps now, as his tyres have gotten up to temperature, so... But it is still quite close, and if Schnitzel is willing to use that precious ERS, he could possibly get the move done on the Ferrari, man. Keep an eye out here as the gap's hovering around the 5/10 mark, as it is with most people, to be honest, so... I don't know, Tom Robbo's on the back of Ryoma Hoshi now, and he's going to go up the inside into turn 4. Apologies for that. Yeah, but Tom Robbo up the inside into turn 4, getting the move done nice and easy, and now pushing on after the Renault of Kajman.
Nice stuff there from Tom Robbo on those medium tyres, which, if you remember at the start of the race, unfortunately before we got blue screen, Tom actually did not start on mediums. That's because a lot of drivers from Tom Robbo downwards, at the exception of Casper, have used that safety car period to make a pit stop. So I don't know, I tell you what, that with potential of rain later on in the race, although I've got to be honest, the sky doesn't look particularly threatening right now, it does potentially play into their hands getting one of their stops out of the way, and it gives them potentially more strategy options later on. But the only downside there, as PB Racing moves past Casper, and they go side by side through the centre S, PB Racing makes it stick, moves up to 11. But yeah, I was just going to say, it's going to open up more strategy options, but of course if the rain doesn't come till really late on in the race, they'll be forced into making their second stop before the rain comes.
Yeah, that would not be ideal, but we all know how quickly the weather changes, especially in the Formula 1 games. 1 minute it can be nice and sunny, then 2 laps later it could be monsoon conditions almost.
I have to say, one driver who's really impressed me thus far is Scorpion. He's done a fantastic job fending off Schnitzel and Nick, and we are getting to that point now where he probably won't have to look in his mirrors as much as those soft tyres begin to fade. But not, like we mentioned, not just for himself, but for his teammate as well. He's done a fantastic job there. And Ferrari, I have to say, looking in a very strong position right now. And although Jay Fletcher is, he's doing a good job out front and everything, he's maybe not leading by quite as much as I might have anticipated. Chris is staying pretty close to the back of him.
Yeah, Jay Fletcher's certainly not pulling away with much hurry at the moment, so perhaps he's just saving fuel for the latter half of the race, maybe, when the rain comes.
It's a possibility, for sure. I mean, he won't have to use too much of his ERS, which, speaking of that, I was just looking at PB Racing, who's pretty much drained his ERS there as he came towards the Cida del Lago, as he tries to make a move on Ryoma Hoshi, who himself is starting to lose a couple of positions. I thought PB Racing was going to look down the inside there into turn 7, but not quite in the end, and not enough space, and he did back out of a move, which I think was a wise thing to do. But Catboy Key as well is slowly starting to catch up to that group for 3rd place as well, so Catboy Key's making pretty good ground in that racing point. But yeah, thankfully no collision there.
Yeah, I'd say that PB Racing was maybe going for a lunge to see if he could put Ryoma Hoshi off a bit, see if he could force him into a mistake, but he's having fun just now as we've got Schnitzel in the pits now, so he's going for an undercut on the guys ahead of him, so we'll wait and see if the leaders respond.
An interesting strategy from Schnitzel. He goes on to another set of softs that kind of, in a way, that kind of restricts his strategy options for later on, because he's run 2 sets of softs now, so if he does have to pit before the rain comes down, he's pretty much made himself go mediums there. I'm a little bit surprised about that.
I thought it would have been best for your second stint would probably be at best with mediums, especially if you started on softs. Because even if it doesn't rain that much, you're going to want the softs at the end of the race to be pushing on the track with the most rubber laid down on it. So I don't know, questionable, but also understandable if it's just wanting to get in and use it as a chance to push on to the guys ahead of him.
Back with PB Racing, because I get the feeling that he could be about to make a move on Ryoma Hoshi here into turn 1. He's drained all his ERS again, so unfortunately that means he can't quite get the speed he needs going into the center S. Ryoma Hoshi looking a bit tail happy through the middle of turn 2 there, but managed to hold on to it, and it remains as you were. One interesting thing I picked up when Schnitzel came into the pits actually is Jonas also now pits in the Red Bull. He was running in 7th place, I believe. Oh, what was that?
This thing had a bit of a tank slapper there, but I might just been a bit of lag. But he's all over the back of that hash right now, and he looks to be having a lunge up the inside now. Will he be able to get the move done though?
He's going round the outside. That's brave, and he's been put slightly onto the grass there. He's now going to make a big dive into turn 10. That's brave once again. Ryoma Hoshi though holds on to it, and these two really fighting tooth and nail for this position. And PB Racing's had several looks at this one, but just can't quite seem to make it stick.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get it done now. Look how close he is. A 10th behind him now. Almost alongside, going up to the start finish line. He's run out of ERS. He's used all of his ERS.
Yeah, so he can't. He's going to do it.
So
is he?
If Ryoma Hoshi sticks in there, you might be able to get him back with the DRS.
I think he had a slightly compromised run out of the center S, and that's left him vulnerable to Tom Robbo behind as he tries to go around the outside of turn 4. Can he make it stick? Ryoma Hoshi fighting hard. Tom has to go slightly off the road. They're slightly tapping here. If they're not careful, that could end in a collision, but they've managed to avoid it. Tom has the inside line for turn 6 and makes it stick, and Ryoma Hoshi looks like he's really beginning to struggle on those soft tyres, and I won't be surprised if we see him in the pits at the end of a lap. Although one thing I've just noticed, Jay Fletcher served his penalty in his pit stop and is now behind Schnitzel.
Must be the stop go for Jay Fletcher then. So now that he's no longer got that penalty hanging over him, but it's going to unleash Triff into the net lead of the race right now.
Ryoma Hoshi's trying to come back at Tom Robbo. He's going around the outside, so that would suggest he's not planning to come in the pits yet. As they're going almost 3 wide here, as Casper looks like he wants to get involved too. Who's going to be latest on the brakes into the centre S? This could go so wrong. Casper nearly gets collected, but it's somehow Ryoma Hoshi that comes out on top at the end of that, and Tom Robbo is going to try and fight back up to turn 4 again.
We have PB Racing now trying to go around the outside of Kajima up in P2 and P3, but unable to get it done. But he's all over the back of that Renault. Will he go around the outside this time? On the grass a bit. He's going to try and brave it around the outside. No, he's not going to get it done, but Catchman is going to be compromised for this middle sector, so we'll see how PB Racing can capitalise on it here. But not looking like he's able to get the move done, so it's going to have to wait until the start finish straight. It looks. It's Catchman all over the place with the back of that Renault.
He's certainly providing a lot of entertainment. We've also got Jay Fletcher on the back of Schnitzel, so we've got a few different battles going on here. PB Racing is looking very, very attacking tonight and wants to get as many moves done as possible. Is he going to be able to make this one stick? He's got the fresher tyres, of course. Kajman probably has a little bit more ERS because PB Racing, I don't think we've really seen him save much of it, but PB Racing has it done.
Doesn't have much ERS either, to be honest.
No, so PB Racing gets the move done comfortably. Ryoma Hoshi and Tom Robbo are still going at it through the curve of the soul. That was incredible action. Now coming to turn 4, who's going to be latest on the brakes? He's got Casper still looking behind them both, but he's got nowhere to go. As Tom Robbo once again makes the move. Is he? I say he's going to be able to make it stick. This is around the 4th or 5th time now these two have been at it, and it doesn't seem like either of them can pull away, but Tom Robbo has the position for now. And what's important to mention here is that Chris, who had actually rejoined in provisionally the lead of a race, has got a 5-second penalty, I believe, for speeding in the pit lane. That could be absolutely pivotal for him. He was in such a good position, but that penalty could be crucial.
Just depends on how far Jay Fletcher is behind from the pit stop. We see also had a 5-second stop go which he served. So it's going to be a battle between those two. So Chris is really going to have to get the foot down here.
We've got Hindle going side by side with Okeke down towards Center S, who's going to be late on the brakes. Looks like Okeke's just got the higher ground and maintains the position for now. These two battling over P7 in this race right now, and I'm going to quickly go with Ryoma Hoshi because I get the feeling that him and Tom Robbo are about to go at it once again. Coming to turn 4, but Tom Robbo places his car really nicely, and there's just nowhere for that has to go in the end.
Yep, this is turning out to be a battle of the ages between Ryoma Hoshi and Tom Robbo for this place. They've been at it for how many laps now? It's just losing count because they've been going after it that often. And my Ryoma Hoshi might not be able to get the move done in the middle sector. He's got a little bit of ERS saved up for that start-finish straight, and if Tom Robbo's not in the DRS of the car in front, this could benefit Ryoma Hoshi into turn 1 as here he comes now. DRS open, overtake mode activated, he's gaining on the back of that racing point. He's going to go up the inside into turn 1, he's got the move done it looks like, but Tom Robbo just holding off and looks to be trying to get the move done down this straight now with his DRS and ERS. So is the straight long enough for him to get alongside and overtake that Haas? No, it's not, and it looks like Ryoma Hoshi is going to keep the position.
I'm utterly astounded. You'd struggle to tell as Casper now looks for the outside on Tom Robbo but backs out of it at the last minute, but he's going to then have the inside. That's an incredible move if he can pull that off, and Tom Robbo being caught slightly napping there, and Casper slots his car between the pair of them. So this is not working out at all for Tom Robbo. He's been struggling with Ryoma Hoshi, who I have to say is doing an incredible job on those soft tyres.
Yeah, definitely. I'm amazed he's managed to get those soft tyres 14 laps and they're not completely shattered just yet. As PB Racing has extended his gap, but looking further down, we've got Scorpion on the back of Nick right now, who is also on the backs of Schnitzel, so Nick looks to have got the move done, and Scorpion waiting in the wings to capitalise on anything from these two, as Nick is now up the inside into turn 1, and has the move done going through the NS's, but Schnitzel is right behind, and will have the DRS going into turn 4, so the straight doesn't look to be quite long enough, and it doesn't look to have got the exit, but Scorpion was having a look up the inside through turn 4 but thought better of it, so we've got a decent little scrap going on down here for, well, who were the top 5 but are now waiting on others pitting, so keep an eye out on this little group here for a little while.
I have to say, it's not worked out at all badly for Nick, that. He's jumped Schnitzel and Scorpion, and he's not too far behind his teammate either, and he was kind of at the back of that sort of group initially, so that's worked out really well. Scorpion's dropped back. I wonder if his pace on the end of that medium stint just started to tail off a bit. But right now, it's really difficult to call as Jay Fletcher makes a move on Rimpe. That's for P8. Certainly in the last few races, Rimpe...
Scorpion around the outside of Schnitzel.
Of course, Scorpion on much fresher soft tyres, and although Schnitzel made up the ground with the earlier stop, it appears to be costing him a bit now as Scorpion makes a move, and I wonder if Catboy Key is about to follow suit here. He's using his overtake mode, so he clearly fancies a move into turn 4, but is he just going to run out a straight? I think he is, and he's going to have to slot in behind for now, but yeah, Schnitzel just starting to drop back, and that aggressive soft-to-soft strategy might be starting to cost him a little bit.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is unless you're right on the back of the car ahead, that short DRS straight at the, well, between turn 3 and 4, you've not really got a lot of time, a lot of ground to catch up on the car ahead. So you need to be at least under 3/10 behind if you're really wanting to get the move done up the inside or have a tremendous run off through turn 3 in the Senate S's. But we've got Catboy Key now lining up the move on Schnitzel, going up the hill towards the start-finish line. Is he going to go up the inside? He's lining it up and he's going to slide that racing point up the inside of the Alfa Romeo. Will Schnitzel try and fight back? No, he won't, I don't think. He looks to be slightly too far behind.
And the other Alfa Romeo's under pressure as well as Hindle comes under attack from Chris, who's trying desperately to make his way through this group of cars. They're going side by side into turn 6. That's going to be brave. There's a little bit of wheel contact, but Chris makes it around the outside. I know he had fresher tyres and everything, but that's still an incredibly brave move. And to pull it off, fair play. Both drivers gave each other enough respect to avoid any serious collisions. Jay Fletcher tries to make a move as well, but it was a little bit of a half-hearted move, and it was a door that I'm afraid was always going to shut in his face. So for now he has to remain behind, but he can see Chris pulling away, and I wonder if that frustration's just maybe forcing him into a move that he probably knows was always not going to work.
Well, that lunge from Jay Fletcher put him back into the clutches of his teammate Nick, who's around about a second back from these two, so...
Oh, there's
a couple of pieces as Hindle makes a mistake.
Yeah, there was contact. Yeah, he did well to hold on to that actually. It looked for a second like he was going to fully spin, so he's done well to minimise the loss there. As further behind, Catboy Key and Schnitzel are fighting, and Catboy Key's made a move past Schnitzel. They both go past Rimpe, who in past races just seems to end up being a roadblock for faster cars. But they've managed to just about negotiate him this time, and Catboy Key at this stage of the race is looking
Chris
pretty
is now
good.
round the outside of Okeke in the Renault and has the move done, it looks like. He's now lining up Riley Buys in that Williams.
I have to say he's really threading his way through this traffic really nicely so far, is Chris. Doing a really good job, but finally, by the way, Rio Mahoshi has dumped those soft tyres.
Oh, here comes sorry to interrupt, but here comes Jay Fletcher around the outside of Okeke, who has come into the pit. So Jay Fletcher now right on the back of Chris and Riley Buys.
So Okeke decides to pit rather than engross himself in another battle on that one. That's probably a wise decision, really, as Chris is now right at the back of Riley Buys. And once he gets clear Riley Buys, he'll be happy to know he's actually got a nice bit of clear air. Because PB Racing's 8 seconds up the road. He's really having a good stint on those mediums as he begins to pull away. But yeah, Rio Mahoshi's onto another set of softs, and if he likes those as much as he liked the last set, he could also be a threat.
Yep, I think Chris is praying that Riley doesn't hold him up too much, and Jay Fletcher behind him is hoping and praying Riley comes into the pits at this lap so he can attempt to get a move done on Chris ahead of him. So, and plus Nick is coming into the picture as well. He's only 7 tenths behind. So here we go, they're all within like a few tenths of each other now. As Jay Fletcher was like right on the gearbox of Chris there, so here we go, up on the run to turn 1. Riley comes, no, Riley's not coming into the pits. So will Jay Fletcher try and get past him as well at the same time, as I'm now seeing raindrops on the car, on the Mercedes car. So here comes the rain into play now. So Jay Fletcher still got Riley ahead of him, and he should have the move done into turn 4, but Riley is sticking in there with that Williams just on the inside. He's defending for his life, but Jay Fletcher, oh, he's got back past as well. The Williams is back past Jay Fletcher and now sending it up the inside, and there's contact. There's contact.
They've gone!
The Williams has spot. They've
both gone off the road. Thankfully, they've kind of.
And then Nick's through.
Nick has got past. That's worked out beautifully for him and for Chris too. But I tell you what, if there are spots on the camera, this works out beautifully for PB Racing. He's already made a stop, and he's 9 seconds clear of these guys. If this rain comes down quickly, this plays perfectly into his hands.
Has PB Racing stopped though? I'm not
he
sure.
has.
Did he stop under the safety car?
Yeah, he stopped under the safety car. He's got 1 stop to his name. So that would work beautifully for him. We've got a pit stop. Riley Buys pits now, and Oof, I wonder what will be going through Jay Fletcher's helmet on that one. He's seen the guy he struggled to get past as he's trying to make a move now on Catboy Key, but has to back out of it. He's just seen the guy he struggled to get past come straight in the pits at the end of a lap.
Yeah, Jay Fletcher will not be a happy boy after that, to say the least. As Chris now looks to have got a little bit of a gap to Nick, about 1.3 seconds, so question is, will Nick have the pace to catch up to the Ferrari and overtake before the rain?
The key now for PB Racing in particular is he needs this rain to come down quickly, because he's done 20 laps on those mediums. He won't be able to go much further. You can already see he's losing a bag full of time to Chris, so he needs this to come down quickly, otherwise his strategy is not going to work quite so well.
The key with most of these guys is for the rain to come down quickly. I think Chris won't be too bothered about when the rain comes, as long as he's got a decent-ish gap to the car behind and anybody who can hold them up in the pit box. That's going to be the key.
Well, one thing
even if he isn't far, even if PB Racing isn't far ahead, he's got the advantage of having a pit box further down the pit lane, so he won't get held up by other cars as much coming in.
Well, one thing that's just dawned on me as well, which is a potential headache developing for Ferrari here, is that there's not much. And Chris has got a penalty to serve when he does pit. So that's going to be a real problem for Ferrari.
The old flag sector 2. PB Racing's made a mistake.
Yeah.
Chris has now passed. Into the lead of the race goes Chris. PB Racing now has Nick in the Mercedes all over his rear end.
He's got no grip. The tyres have completely gone.
Well, it looks like PB Racing has hit the metaphorical cliff we referred to with tyre wear, and now Scorpion's all over the back of him and is now through, having lost 3 places in the span of like 2 or 3 corners to PB Racing. He's going to have to come into the pits this lap, but will he take the gamble and go into inters, or will he stick with the dries?
And what have we got further down? Kajman's had a spin coming out of turn 12. So that was another yellow flag there. He's lost a few positions and is just about to lose another one to his teammate as he recovers from that spin.
PB Racing is out on the intermediates. Jay Fletcher in for intermediates as well as Jonas.
And a wing change for Jay Fletcher. So I wonder if that was damage from his contact with Riley buys on that one.
So we'll have to wait and see if these guys gamble in the intermediates will pay off here.
I've got to say, with Chris's penalty and the fact that Scorpion will have to queue, the one driver at the moment who's looking in a really nice place is Nick.
Yep, he's sitting just about 2 seconds behind, but he's got Scorpion closing in, so...
And I wonder what will these drivers...
He's got an interesting situation on his hands, to say the least, depending on how quickly the rain comes.
Well, he spent all season with his teammate Jay Fletcher taking the limelight. This is his time to shine. I wonder how that will play on his mind. He'll know now he is the leading Mercedes hope in this race. Will these guys come into the pits at the end of this lap? How are they doing for grip?
Nick's in, Scorpion as well, so Scorpion taking the initiative, being the only Ferrari without a penalty. Being the Ferrari without a penalty and coming in to put pressure on that Mercedes car.
Well, they're all in the pits. I almost wonder if there's a bit of communication between the Ferrari boys, and Chris has almost taken the bullet because he knows he has that penalty to serve when he pits, and he's allowed Scorpion to do the pit stop first. But I have to say, Nick's actually gained a bit out of the pits there, and if anything, Scorpion's fell back into Catboy Key's hands.
PB Racing is back up into what looks to be the net race lead after his tyres going off the cliff dramatically. He's now a second clear of the Mercedes driver.
Wow, I tell you what, him keeping it on the road on that last lap could be one of the most important things in that race. I stayed on board of him just to see if he could hold on to them, and that's really benefited him. That he managed to hold on to those tyres till the end of the lap. I was worried they were going to puncture. But PB Racing now effectively is the race leader, and Jay Fletcher's dropped all the way down to 8th, so you can see how much it's cost him. But it's looking pretty good now for PB Racing, it has to be said, and clearly the intermediates are working because Chris is losing a lot of time. So I expect him to come in the pits as well, and I tell you what, with that extra lap he's had to do, Chris could very well drop outside the top 10, perhaps.
Well, PB Racing also has a penalty, but how bad is it? I'm not sure. Because he's got a 5-second time penalty, but I'm not sure for what.
If I had to guess, just for the state his tyres were in, I could imagine he had trouble slowing down for the pit lane entry.
He has the penalty for, I'll find out in a moment for you. PB Racing, speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those understandable ones in that case. You could see the tyres, what state they were in. It would have been a real difficult one to slow it down in time. But I have to say, at the moment, the driver looks looking really comfortable on his intermediates. His Scorpion, he's now all over the back of Nick. And Nick really coming under pressure here. And with PB Racing's 5-second penalty, it's important that Nick doesn't lose too much time because he's already 3 seconds adrift of a leader. So there's a lot of pressure on Nick here. And Catboy Key, who's kind of gone under the radar a bit in this race, is joining the back of these two as well.
Yep, Catboy Keys had a dramatic rise through the field over the last few laps, well, he was battling with Tom Robbo and Ryo Mahoshi not that long ago, but now being on the back of the lead group, I must say, what a drive from him so far. He's played his strategy very well.
And again, a bit like with Nick, it's a case of his teammates had all the limelight this season, but it's now giving opportunity for her teammates to shine, and they're both seem to be grabbing the opportunity. Of course, with DRS now disabled, this is going to make overtaking that a little bit more challenging, and that could play into PB Racing's hands, because you can see right now he's pulling away from Nick, and if he can just keep that up, he may gain enough to have the 5 seconds that he needs to keep the race lead.
Yeah, the pressure is well and truly on for PB Racing at the moment, because he's still extending that gap, and Nick and Scorpion are just
Ryo Mahoshi's had a problem through the centre rest. There was a brief yellow flag. He's gone off the road, and I believe he's dropped to place Tom Robbo, his eternal nemesis from this race. These two have been going at it all race long, but there's now a sizable gap between them because Ryo Mahoshi's had a moment. I only saw the aftermath, unfortunately, so I don't know if it was a moment he had by himself or if it was yet another side-by-side moment with Tom.
Yeah, whereas Scorpion's just really struggling to get close to Nick through that middle sector, the spray as well as the dirty air. It's really going to be an issue for this Ferrari driver, but he's got it about 5 tenths behind. He's got his overtake deployed, but I don't think he has the setup I don't think he has enough straight line speed to get anywhere near that Mercedes right now, so Nick seems rather comfortable at the moment in his P2 on pace, but he needs to pick it up a little bit as he's now the 5-second gap to PB Racing ahead, so PB Racing's got a big enough gap that Nick will not overtake him on the line due to penalties.
This is excellent stuff from PB Racing, and it always goes back to that medium tyre stint that he did. We weren't really paying much attention to him because obviously he was kind of racing on his own at the front for a number of laps, but those laps he put in at the mediums and the ability to hang on to them even when they'd gone way past the cliff, that ultimately could be the deciding factor in today's race. And I've got to say, his pace on intermediates is stunning.
Yeah, I think he must have put in a lot of wet weather practice before today's race, so it's almost 6 seconds to gap, so Scorpion's probably desperate to get past Nick right now so he can try and catch that Alpha Tauri ahead of him, as he's a little bit closer this time around, but he still doesn't quite have the straight line speed required to get the move done, and he's really struggling without DRS to get anywhere near close enough to the back of that Mercedes for a dive.
No, and this is a key battle. This is a close battle. Trackers Catboy Key has a massive moment through the first part of the centre rest and manages to thankfully pick it up again, but he's obviously dropped off the back of the second and third place drivers as a result, but thankfully for him he kept it on the road. But I know for a fact PB Racing in recent weeks has been talking about the fact he's transitioned to using a wheel and no assist, and I don't know if this is anything to go by. He's doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I must say, to be honest, he's really shown that, well, his move to the wheel and no assist has definitely benefited him so far. So we'll see how it plays out for the next 5 laps or so. As Catboy Key is slowly catching back up the Scorpion, who's still stuck behind the Mercedes of Nick, who's just waiting on that mark to make a mistake. But Nick holding firm at the moment. His gap is closer this time around, so gap around 3 tenths, so Scorpion could help the move on into turn 1. You'll have to keep an eye out now as he's lining up the Mercedes, so it's Ferrari versus Mercedes once again here in Brazil, as he's trying to go around the outside, Nick holding the inside line. Will Scorpion get the better run through turn 3? It doesn't look like it, but he's going to have overtake mode deployed, but Nick getting the better exit, and it's going to keep him ahead until the back straight again, so Nick staying defiant for now anyway, so this is an interesting battle.
It's not quite the drama that we had earlier, but it's really got the tension to it, and that just having that little look there for Scorpion might generate some confidence that he can find a way past this Mercedes, because previously he wasn't really in a position to even get alongside him, so there's definitely opportunities for him there. He's just going to have to really pick his moment and try and stay as close as possible through this middle sector, which is clearly the problem area for him in that spray and the dirty air. He just seems to be struggling. As further behind, we've got Jay Fletcher and Schnitzel battling. It looks like Jay Fletcher's actually got past, but is he letting Schnitzel through, or they're still going alongside each other to turn 12? This is ridiculously brave racing.
Scorpion is lining up Nick again into turn 1, gaining ever so slightly onto Mercedes, forcing Nick onto the defensive, but is he still not close enough to get past that Mercedes?
A crucial move for Jay Fletcher there, certainly in terms of championship, moving up to 6. Going side by side with Schnitzel through turn 11 in the wet is not something I would be brave enough to try, so fair play to the pair of them for that. And Jay Fletcher trying to get damage limitation here, but of course it's not too bad for Jay Fletcher. Obviously he wouldn't have wanted to be down in 6, but his main rival in the championship is Tom, and he's 10 for Knowlesy, who's third in the championship, isn't racing tonight. So although Jay Fletcher's only going to get a top 6 result here by the looks of it, penalties of course could impact on that, but even with only getting 6, he's actually gaining in the championship out of it, so it's not too bad for Jay Fletcher from that perspective.
Yeah, if you think about it from a championship perspective, it's not bad at all. Scorpion slightly closer to Nick, as we've got a safety car. Riley Blythe is crashed out, it looks like, so that's going to bring PB Racing, who was almost 10 seconds, almost a 10-second gap, back into the clutches of Nick and Scorpion. So with 3 laps to go now, so
I tell you what, Riley might just have taken that race away from PB Racing. That penalty he's got now is going to absolutely decide this race, because he won't have time to build up a big enough lead again. There's no doubt about it, he's quicker than Nick, but by a decent margin.
Know, I think he could, depending on how hard the battle is between Nick and Scorpion here. I think he can pull a bit of a gap.
It's going to be tough to pull 5 seconds though well, it depends obviously. I don't know if we're going to have this lap under the safety car, if we'll have another one. It's likely that we might only get 1 lap of racing here.
Yeah, it's going to be a Brazil 2019-esque race with a chaotic final few laps, as everybody's going to be jockeying for position. A few drivers in the pits as well for maybe drive-throughs or fresh tyre. Schnitzel is definitely coming out of the pits now. Yeah, Ryoma Hoshi in as well, out on fresh tyres. Kajaman in as well, so a few drivers in for fresher tyres to see if that can give them an advantage.
I guess for those drivers towards the back, it's sort of a no-risk strategy. You're already struggling towards the back anyway. At least with fresh tyres you might be able to do something special in the last lap or two.
I'm pretty sure you have to get at least 2 laps of racing, I'm sure, under a safety car, but maybe not. Maybe this will just be the order to cross the line then.
Yeah, I think we're about to get back underway again, because the safety car's coming in and PB Racing's leading the field away, so we are back underway here. Surprisingly, we only had the 1 lap under the safety car, but that gives PB Racing that bit more of a chance, as it looks like Catboy Key's looking at a potential move.
PB Racing making a mistake there. Turn 1 going very deep.
Maybe just an indication of a pressure he finds himself under now as he tries his best to build up some sort of a gap before the end. But Cowboy Key was looking very aggressive. But if anything, Jonas was thinking of a move down the inside to turn 4, but he couldn't quite make it stick. He backed out of it in the end. Fair play to him on that one. Decided in the end not to go for it, but it's all very, very close here behind Nick as once again PB Racing tries his best to absolutely gun it on the restart, because although a win's probably not possible now, every 10th he can gain.
All over the back of Scorpion now, and I think the reason the safety car came in so quickly is because you have to have at least 2 laps of racing on the game. I think you're not allowed to have, for the safety car to go up to the line, I'm not sure. You have to have at least 2 laps of racing, I believe. So.
Well, I tell you what, that's done no good for Ryoma Hoshi or Kajman, because they didn't catch up in time, so that's a real blow for them. And they're going to struggle even with those new intermediates now with the amount of time they've got to gain up. But anyway, we're coming on now to the final lap of the race. And I've got to say, the one driver who's looking like he can make a move is Catboy Key. But is he just going to run out of straight before he gets to the centre S? He is.
Wow.
The best thing
Scorpion's always really late on the brakes. He's trying so hard to catch up with the Mercedes ahead of him. He's not even looking behind him.
Well, on board of him there, and he took a lot of the curb, and he was just straggling for grip. Is Jay Fletcher potentially going to have a move down inside of Jonas into turn 4? No, he's not. Not close enough. Scorpion excellent on the brakes, which is really limiting Catboy Key's opportunities. But once again, PB Racing absolutely gone. 2.3 seconds up the road, but unfortunately for him, I don't think it's going to be enough. And right now, you're looking at Nick being the provisional race winner unless Scorpion can find an outstanding move in this last half a lap.
Scorpion's going to have to send it into the last left-hander now if he wants to get the move done. He's going to have to send it.
Well, they were saying that Nick was pretty cold in form coming into this one, but he could be about to turn it all around. PB Racing will be gutted about that late safety car. He's done an outstanding job, and he will take the win across the line, but that penalty will mean that he won't hold on to it once everyone crosses the line. He wins provisionally, but Nick is going to come across the line to take the victory here. Scorpion
PB Racing is going to finish P8 till it's like P9. The field's that close. No, he's not even crossed the line, I'm not sure, unless he spun it across the line on purpose. But Nick takes the race win, the provisional race win this evening. So your race winner is Nick, with Scorpion in second, Catboy Key third, Chris fourth, Jonas fifth, Rimpe in sixth, Jay Fletcher seventh, Tom Robbo 8th, Casper 9th, Schnitzel 10th, Okeke 11th, Hindle 12th, PB Racing 14th now, Real Mahoshi 13th, PB Racing 14th, and Kachaman 15th, and the retirees being Riley and Vahanen.
I tell you what, I think what's happened there, because looking at the time loss for PB Racing when he's crossed the line, I noticed he swerved towards the wall when he came across the line. I wonder if he's destroyed his vehicle and that's dropped him down. Because there's
I'm not sure, because he had all 4 tyres still intact. So I'm not sure if he's destroyed his vehicle or not. So
some kind of glitch has happened there, though, because it's almost registering as if he had a minute of penalties.
Before you get to it, I'm going to decide that I'm going to say Nick is my driver of the day before you can steal him.
I was going to let you go first anyway, but yeah, I think that's a fair shout with Nick. Did a stunning job. We'll quickly run down the classified race results then. Nick, of course, this is open to stewards' inquiries, of course. Nick takes the win. We've got Scorpion in second, Catboy Key in third, Chris 4th, Jonas in 5th, Rimpe 6th, Jay Fletcher in 7th, Tom Robbo in 8th, Casper in 9th, Schnitzel in 10th, Okeke in 11th, and Hindle takes the final point in 12th. Tom Robbo will get the fastest lap inside the top 10, whereas outside the top 10 it will go to Ryoma Hoshi, with PB Racing, despite only getting 5 seconds worth of penalties, finishing a minute and 16 off the win, which makes literally no sense at all.
So I think I think he might have destroyed his vehicle then. So
yeah, that's the only thing I think can happen.
I never got to ask who's your driver of the day then.
Well, before I get on to my driver of the day, I'll quickly ask of you, what would be your question for Nick?
Is this win Is this when the turn in form for your season? Is this basically the turning point in your season? This win?
Very good. I'm actually, in terms of my driver day, this is a really tough one. I'm actually going to say I was going to give it to PB Racing, but I feel like he's destroyed his vehicle across the line. So for that reason, I'm actually going to say Catboy Key. And my question to him would be, did you expect to find yourself so high up the order when, you know, you saw the battling going on around you, and it didn't actually look for a lot of that race like you were going to be in and around the top 3? So has that result surprised you? But yeah, now he'd be my shout for driver of the day. I probably would have gone for Nick, but I'll let you have that one. And I'll nominate Catboy Key because I think he did a very good, sort of understated job. We didn't see too much of him, but he just kept going through the field.
He slipped under the radar and got a good result for himself there. So, as well as Jay Fletcher actually put on quite the comeback drive as well, to be honest. So.
Some really good drives out there tonight in what were very, very tricky conditions. So fair play to everyone really that finished in the end. And Nick is absolutely delighted, as I'm sure you can imagine. Well done to him on that win. And that could be the turning point for his season indeed. It'll be interesting to see what his thoughts are on that one. But yeah, that's just about it for myself and Liam. I really hope you enjoyed this race. It was a real cracking end to it.
Yeah, and, it was certainly didn't lack in entertainment with quite a tense finish. PB Racing pushing it all the way to the line, looked like he destroyed his vehicle.
Certainly not seen a finish like that in quite a long time. We will be back next Friday. It will be Baku is the venue next week. Cannot wait for that. Should be more drama. Expect plenty of dramatic moments, especially through that infamous castle section. But until then, be a massive thank you to Liam for joining me, of course. Great job stepping in at short notice, and again, congratulations on your result in the prospect here.
Thanks. Let's fair to say, if you thought Brazil had this race had a lot of drama, expect more next week in Baku.
Absolutely, I cannot wait. But until then, it's goodbye from Liam and myself, and we will catch you on the flip side for Baku. Hope you all have a really good weekend.